The life of Prophet Muhammad. The religious landscape in Arabia at the time of the Prophet's birth continued. In the previous episode, we discussed the beliefs of idol worshippers in Arabia and the history of Judaism and Christianity. This episode focuses on other religions and belief systems prevalent in Arabia during the Prophet Muhammad's birth. Christianity. By this time, Christians had largely deviated from the teachings of Prophet Jesus, Isa, and had become followers of St. Paul. St. Paul, initially a Jew, claimed to have seen Prophet Isa in a dream, instructing him to spread his message. Consequently, he embraced Christianity and gradually transformed it into a religion filled with polytheistic and heretical doctrines. He introduced the concept of the Trinity and declared Prophet Isa as the Son of God. Paul propagated the idea that Prophet Isa's crucifixion absolved all Christians of their sins, granting them freedom from moral accountability. Influenced by Paul's teachings, Christians believed that merely confessing sins before a priest was sufficient for redemption. Despite these deviations, Christians displayed relatively better moral conduct compared to the Jews and showed greater openness to accepting the truth. This is evident even today, as converts to Islam include more Christians than Jews. The religious landscape in Arabia at the time of the Prophet's birth. A detailed overview. In earlier episodes, we discussed the beliefs of idol worshippers, Judaism, and Christianity. This episode sheds light on other religions and beliefs present in Arabia during the Prophet Muhammad's birth. Zoroastrianism. Some Arab tribes near the Iranian and Iraqi borders were influenced by Zoroastrianism, the dominant religion of Persia. They believed in dual gods, one representing good and the other evil, and revered fire as a manifestation of divinity. Sabianism. Another group, known as Sabians, practiced star worship, possibly remnants of ancient Mesopotamian religions. They claimed their faith was divinely inspired and traced back to prophets Seth, Sheth, and Idris, Enoch. The Sabians observed 7 daily prayers and a month-long lunar fast. However, the pagan Arabs labeled them as heretics or Sabians, unbelievers. Certain tribes in Yemen, such as the Himyarites, worshipped the sun, while others like the Asad tribe venerated Mercury, and the Lakhm and Juzam tribes worshipped Jupiter. Some even worshipped the pole star, aligning their prayers in its direction while still respecting the Kaaba. Atheism. In addition to these religions, Arabia had individuals who rejected the concept of God, resurrection, judgment, or the afterlife altogether. They considered the universe eternal and denied any divine influence. Monotheists, Hanifs. Amidst this milieu of idolatry and superstition, a few individuals, guided by their innate sense of truth, embraced monotheism. These individuals, known as Hanifs, believed in one God and rejected idolatry. Prominent Hanifs included Warqa bin Nawfal, a cousin of Khadijah, who later converted to Christianity and affirmed the Prophet's prophethood after the first revelation. Zayd bin Amr bin Nufail, a paternal uncle of Umar ibn al-Khattab, who was deeply revered for his rejection of idolatry. He declared, "I worship the Lord of Abraham," and criticized Quraysh for straying from the Abrahamic faith. Zayd abstained from idol worship, bloodshed, and immoral customs. The Prophet later mentioned that Zayd would be resurrected as a nation unto himself. Ubaidullah bin Yash, who initially embraced Islam but later apostatized to Christianity during his migration to Abyssinia. The state of religion in Arabia. Religions in Arabia, though diverse, had become so distorted that it was difficult to distinguish between divine teachings and polytheism. The essence of monotheism, the hallmark of all revealed religions, was almost entirely absent. The entire world, not just Arabia, was engulfed in ignorance, idolatry, and moral decay. Amidst this darkness, the merciful Creator chose to send His greatest prophet, Muhammad, to restore the light of faith and guide humanity back to the truth. Glimpses of the Pre-Islamic Society, Part 1. In the previous 2 episodes, we examined the history of idolatry among Arabs and the various religions and beliefs prevalent in Arabia, particularly in Mecca and Medina, during the birth of the Prophet Muhammad. In this episode, we will explore the economic and social conditions of the Arabs, especially the Quraysh of Mecca, at the dawn of Islam. A brief overview of the Arab society at that time reveals a striking duality. It was simultaneously characterized by both admirable and deplorable traits, with each manifesting in their extreme forms. On the one hand, the negative practices and customs of the Arabs painted a picture of a deeply flawed society. On the other hand, their noble qualities and virtues presented an unparalleled example of human character and societal values. The social structure. Arab society was broadly divided into three main classes. 1. Settled Arabs, Hadari. These were the people who lived permanently in towns and cities. They were few in number. Their primary sources of livelihood were income from oases and trade. It was the Prophet's great-grandfather, Hashim, who established trade agreements with the rulers of Rome, Persia, Syria, and India. This enabled Arab caravans to travel to these regions and facilitated the return of goods to Arabia. Due to their guardianship of the Kaaba, the Quraysh of Mecca held a central position in Arabian society. Even the Bedouin tribes refrained from attacking their caravans, granting them safe passage. 2. Bedouins. The majority of the Arab population consisted of nomadic Bedouin tribes. Their primary livelihood was herding livestock. They wandered the deserts in search of pastures and set up temporary camps wherever they found suitable grazing land. Once the pasture was depleted, they would move to a new location. In addition to herding, banditry was a significant source of income for the Bedouins. They often raided caravans traveling through the desert. Tribes that engaged in plundering took great pride in their exploits. 3. Slaves and bondmaids. The third and lowest class in Arab society consisted of slaves and bondmaids who served the settled and nomadic Arabs. Slaves were both Arabs and non-Arabs. Arabs were enslaved either due to defeat in tribal wars or because of debts, while non-Arabs were brought to Arabia through trade and sold in slave markets. The owner had absolute authority over the slave, including the right to punish, torture, or even kill them. Slaves faced extreme punishments for minor infractions, which often defied basic human dignity. The children of slaves were also born into slavery. Bondmaids suffered similar hardships and were often exploited for immoral purposes. Those skilled in singing and dancing fetched higher prices in the markets. Slaves and bondmaids had no control over their lives, honor, property, or offspring. They were entirely under their master's ownership. Shared cultural identity. Despite continuous warfare, tribal feuds, and long-standing animosities, the Arabs shared a common culture characterized by pride in ancestry and adherence to tribal traditions. A shared language, Arabic, which was a source of immense pride. The Arabs were broadly divided into two main ethnic groups. 1. Qahtanis. 2. Adnanis, descendants of Prophet Ismail. However, both groups shared an unwavering pride in their Arabic language. Poetry was deeply ingrained in their culture and served as a powerful expression of their collective identity. The marketplace of Ukais. One of the most prominent cultural events was the annual fair at Ukais, near Taif. It was a hub of poetic and cultural expression where warriors turned poets and showcased their literary prowess. Festivities included poetry recitals of such high caliber that this era's literary contributions are still regarded as classics. Wine-drinking assemblies that often degenerated into moral decay due to the presence of immoral women. Despite their artistic achievements, these gatherings revealed the moral degradation of society. This paints a vivid picture of the state of pre-Islamic Arabia, a society mired in ignorance yet adorned with remarkable cultural and personal virtues, awaiting the light of divine guidance to emerge from its darkness.